It's an amazing resource. You guys are doing amazing work. One question that you do answer there that I personally hear all the time, and I'm sure everybody has, and obviously you have, is if the rain for Noah's flood was fresh water, then how did saltwater fish survive? We hear it all the time.
Yes, well, it's a common question, and I sort of got an answer to that even before I was a Christian. You know the old saying, it's raining cats and dogs? Well, I've never actually noticed
Yeah.
cats and dogs falling out of the sky except in tornadoes. But I'd heard rumours that fish fall out of the sky too. And being a keen fisherman, I thought, I wonder if this is true. So when I was about 10, it started to really rain heavily. It blew in over the sea we were living near. So I went and got a bucket. And sure enough, I caught baby fish coming down out of the sky. And they were doing well, but the only source was the salt water nearby. So it was very evident that fishes seem to have a way of dealing with the salinity of the water. Now, track down 20 years and I'm sort of finishing geology, going and doing zoology, and doing an extra 3 years of genetics, and you discover one thing. Many fishes migrate from saltwater to freshwater with no trouble. We are plagued by one of them here in Australia called a shark, particularly the bull shark. You know some like salmon and tuna who can do this. Some fishes seem to have lost that ability totally, so you dump salt water into them and you'll kill them straight away. Many of the goldfish are in that category. But you actually can put a grain of salt in every day and convert them slowly. So they have that innate capacity, but it's not in a very good shape at the present time. So it would seem to be that the initial fishes were created. They had to have minerals in the water. No one can live in purely fresh water, right? If you want to see why not, get a pile of fresh water, put your hand and leave it in. You'll find that your hand shrivels up. Sorry, it's the other way. It swells up because the fresh water is taken into your hand to try and balance out the chemical pressure that's in your blood versus the nothing chemical pressure in the water. So no creature can live in purely neutral fresh water. You have to have minerals in it. So the original creatures had to be designed to have both a mineral detector, a mineral feedback system, and a mechanism to adjust the osmotic pressure across the surface of its skin. So they all had that perfect in the beginning. So it never was a trouble for them to move from fresh to salt water. And at the moment, we're increasing problems for them by dumping more minerals in the creeks and rivers and things like that. You know, fertilizer.
John, it's kind of like a shooting yourself in the foot question, because if you accept the secular timeline of millions and billions of years, the oceans should be so salty that nothing could live in them. So on one hand, they're actually shooting themselves in the foot.
They really are, because the salt goes one way. It doesn't sort of come out. It just builds up and builds up. So what you really get to learn from that, and not even most Christians like to think it through, there is a terminal point when the ocean will die.
Yeah.
And that was a great answer, Dr. Mackay. It does. It looks like there have been a lot of inbuilt mechanisms for adaptive change. I like to call it the front loading of genetic information at creation by God. I mean, we're even seeing today rapid change in new environments. So changes, as you're saying, in new environments, if the mechanisms are already built into the organisms, then it's not difficult. That's a great answer. Let me see.